Well, hello and welcome back to Kimmell and Cox, your source for all things entertainment. I'm Keith Cox. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Dylan Kimmell.
You can call me Betty.
How was your weekend, Betty?
It was very good. It was very good. Well, I say that, but it was actually. Hold on 1 second. We won't redo that. Let's not redo that again. Oh, I didn't have my mic on. My apologies. It was good. It was. I mean, I worked and everything. It was the night shift, and night shift is not fun. No. 7-day work week. 7 days. So, on top of editing these videos, I edit them and.
Yes,
just
and he
barely
does,
made it.
And yes, and he does an amazing job despite being so busy. But I definitely understand that this past week was a little crazy for me too. One of the people that I work with recently quit, and he used to be one of our permanent night shift guys. Like, he actually wanted to work night shift, which is rare. You know, how often do you find somebody that wants to work night shift? Well. Yeah. They ended up switching him to day shift starting in January, and so he didn't like that and put his notice in, but it left us short on night shift. So I ended up this past week having to work night shift 3 out of my 5 days, where normally I only work night shift 1 day a week. So it's like 3 to midnight, which is. It's not like the graveyard shift. It's not overnight, which I've done that before too, and that definitely sucks. But it's still, it's still a pain. It definitely makes it hard for you to make plans and to do things when you have to work that late. But did have some fun this weekend. Actually got a chance to work on a little short film. A quick little. It only took a couple of hours of filming. Basically, it was like a cameo. My friend Ken Cravens, who I had worked with a few times before, and he had directed me in a short film last year. Yeah, and which was a Christmas movie where I played an elf, and so he thought it would be funny to bring me in and sort of work as like an extra, like background or whatever, but sort of like a featured extra or whatever. And he thought it would be hilarious to actually. Which completely out of place within the context of the scene, but he decided to put some elf ears on me and like an elf hat. Yeah. And they've just got us in the background there. Cynthia actually joined me on that, which was fun because as you know, we met on a film set. Yeah. But this was the first time that we had actually gotten to like interact with each other as a couple. And
did you all play like a couple in the cameo?
Yeah, and so that worked out really good, and he put some elf ears on her as well too. So that's great. That's going to be pretty funny, just to go to like look in the background and be like, why are there like 2 elves sitting back there
in the background there? Oh, I also forgotten to mention I was in talks with our actor friend Brittany Saylor. Okay. She's working on a little production with a group there, and I don't know how much I want to say just yet. But she actually had me brought on as a writer for. I'll see how it goes. It's funny because she was telling the guy, I guess both of us don't like tooting our own horns on how, but I think even you have come across it before of people coming like, oh, they're great, they're really good, giving you such high praise, and it's like, for me personally, I'm kind of like, please, you're going, don't feed my ego a little bit. It's like
it's hard to take a compliment sometimes. And
she gave me high praise, which was very flattering. It really was. But the guy says, he said, well, if the script is good, and she chimes in, oh, it's going to be great. It'll be great. I've read his writing. It'll be really good.
Yeah, but it is. It's hard to. It's hard to. As nice as it is to hear, sometimes it can be difficult to take that in.
Especially before you actually start working on something. The fear comes in, and you're thinking, "Can I do this? I don't know."
Right.
I don't know.
The pressure, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got into that a little bit on the interview that I had on Brandon's podcast, where they talked about they're like don't be afraid to kind of puff your chest up a little bit if you know you're talented, if you know you're good. There's nothing wrong with showing people what you've got and being proud of that.
Which I think we both kind of question if we're actually good.
Yeah, I mean, you're always because it's subjective. It's like we can't, you kind of depend on other people to sort of gauge that for you. You can't, you're not going to go around saying, I'm just great. I'm the best, actor, that's come along in a long time or anything like that. I mean, there's a difference, I guess, in believing in yourself, which we do, and then actually just really I guess bragging on yourself or whatever. So, but
speaking of subjective, this movie is kind of subjective.
Oh goodness, yeah. What can we possibly say about this movie? This is a very different from what we've been talking about so far.
Yeah, we've been talking about good.
Yeah, actually, legitimate. Well written. Good,
this one is not earning any Oscars, and it does not want to. Honestly, it's not meant to.
I don't know. I don't know if this movie would make anyone's list of the greatest movies of all time. Certainly wouldn't make mine. But
no. But it's a good time.
It is funny for what it is. So we are, of course, talking about Kung Pow Enter the Fist, which is a satire of basically the kung fu movies from the 1970s, kind of that time period, and it's poking fun at that, but also bringing in contemporary references as well, for the time, because the movie was released on January 25th, 2002. Which it's hard to believe, actually. I mean, that doesn't seem like that long ago, but I mean, it's 21 years ago now. So it has been a long time. But
21 years. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's way to make us feel old.
I know. It's that's almost in that classic status. 25 years, I think, is supposed to be the mark of a classic. But anyway.
Oh man.
So it's definitely a spoof and is not at all intended to be serious. But the film was written and directed by Steve Oedekerk and starring Steve Oedekerk, Jennifer Tung, and Leo Lee. Something that I thought was interesting, I didn't actually know until I read some of the trivia behind the scenes stuff on the movie, was that Steve Oedekerk actually, because if you know anything about those old kung fu movies, because typically they were shot in Japan or China, and if most of the actors were not American, and so they didn't speak English, and so their lines were usually dubbed later by American actors speaking usually with a very bad Asian accent.
So you didn't know that it was him doing the voices?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't realize he actually does the voices for every character in the movie except for Woe, which is Jennifer Tung's character. Yeah. She did her own dubbing on that. And it's of course, it's, as you watch the movie, it's obvious that he's doing all these different voices and everything. But it's really funny. So he even does the women, even does the voices for them. But yeah, it's.
Well, what was the girl's name?
Oh,
love interest there.
Hang on, let me. The name escapes me. I will find it here in just a second. But yeah, this is one of those movies that, it's like some people. I think there's a segment of the viewing population that does not entirely understand satire and the way that it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And so
they don't make very many satire movies anymore either.
No, and there are plenty of really good ones out there.
Airplane comes to mind. That's a really good one.
The Naked Gun movies.
Naked Gun.
The Austin Powers movies are like that.
The first two scary movies were good. The rest were bad.
Yeah. Ling is the love interest, and she does this thing where she just like randomly like makes these noises like after she I was like, what the hell is that? But yeah, I mean, sometimes you can show a movie like this to somebody and they just don't get it. They're just like, this is so stupid, and it's like, it's supposed to be like, they are not trying to make a serious movie here. It is intentionally bad. But then that's what makes it funny.
Yeah. It's, the hilarity of it. I mean, even the like the CGI, the in the very beginning. Let's start with the beginning. The baby doll.
Yeah.
The baby doll.
So the premise of the movie is that the star of the movie, Steve Oedekerk, is playing. It
goes with the cliche chosen one.
Yeah.
Cliche, yeah.
Right, that there's like, he's a martial arts master, and that he was born this way. You never really learn his actual name. They just refer to him in the whole movie as the chosen one. And so he's, there's a flashback in the beginning and where he's an infant, and these guys break into his home and murder his parents in front of him. And then he starts fending off these guys by himself as a baby. He's like,
what's interesting is that baby has really good memory.
Yeah, to the fact that he would remember their faces as an adult later on. But yeah, it's right away we get this like ridiculous scene where this baby is like doing flips through the air and like and kicking these guys, and then eventually he rolls down a hill and just keeps rolling, and it's clearly a doll.
It's a really bad looking doll, but it's very obvious, very, very obvious. At one point, this one lady comes by and she's like, "Oh, a baby!"
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, it's so cute," and then she puts him down and keeps rolling him down the hill.
Bye bye.
Yeah, and just a lot of really terrible jokes like that in there. But like I said, they're not trying to hide it. Like most movies would, if they were going to use like a dummy or something like that, they try to disguise it so that you don't realize that it's a dummy. But in this case, they want everything that's bad about the movie. They want it to be completely obvious.
I'd say this movie in particular really shows our sense of humor, yours and mine. Like,
it was like we can appreciate
the ridiculous,
we appreciate good, really good movies, but there's a part of us that I don't know, maybe the 12-year-old in us or whatever, the childish part of us that still appreciates these kinds of movies too. You're like, you're laughing at stupid humor.
And here's an interesting thing I don't think many people know is that you can learn from a bad movie. Like, watch the bad movies too, you know. I'm not saying that this is a bad movie. I mean, it's a bad movie, but it's intended to be bad.
Right.
Then there's the movies that are bad that are not.
That they actually are trying to be serious, but it's just terrible.
The Tommy Wiseau movie, The Room, comes to mind. That one was intended to be good. It was not very good.
But yeah, you kind of have to put movies like this in their own
in their own
category.
Bubble. Yeah.
But it is funny. I mean, there are definitely some just laugh out loud moments in there, particularly when they choose to take advantage of the dubbing, like the dialogue, and like like it's like sometimes they're just throwing stuff in there that has nothing to do whatsoever with the scene, which is hilarious. But they also they shot the movie. They were trying to give it like an older look to it, so the film at times has kind of a grainy look to it, or sometimes out of focus. Because they wanted to make it look like it could have been filmed in like the 70s.
Well, they also had to match the movie that they used in the background too.
Oh, right.
The name of that movie, it was a movie that they used and they just green screened Steve Oedekerk and the one actress that had the one boob into the movie. So those were and the guy that had the stereo. Yeah, they were all like actual actors, not part.
Yeah. And you got to see that a little bit in the end credits when they showed the outtakes and stuff. They showed how they did that with like the green screen and everything, where they basically just put the actors' heads on the original actors' bodies or whatever, and like I said, sometimes that was extremely obvious, that they were doing that, and other times it wasn't. But yeah, there's a lot of just completely ridiculous moments in the film, like when he has to fight the cow. There's a kung fu fighting cow, and then there's like a hilarious mixture of CGI and practical effects and things there that really makes that scene work.
Shoot. And the voice he uses for the villain, I forget what the villain's original name was, but halfway through the movie, he's like, "You can call me Betty." So but isn't Betty a girl's name?
It was Master Payne.
Master Payne, yeah. Very original name.
But his nickname was Betty. And he kind of has this annoying sort of voice, like it's like very kind of whiny, and but it just
and occasionally he'll look at some, like, just say some random stuff like fish, swan.
Right. Again, it's like stuff that has nothing to do with the scene.
And this is like the perfect like editing. Like, here's the thing: when a director is making a movie or whatever like that, they want to be very particular and everything like that. This movie is not perfect at all.
No.
And it, as a matter of fact, there's a scene where they cut the scene and they must have used a different clip from the movie. So the bright idea there was, "I am a magic magician. Your shirt is red." Right. And then the next is red. So whenever it interchanges, he's like, "I'm a magician. Your shirt is black now."
Yeah, I caught that. That was funny. And there were several shots. The editing is intentionally bad in this movie too. Yeah. So shots don't match up, like they don't line up. Where normally, like if you're doing an over the shoulder shot or something like that, you want the camera angles to kind of line up.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's intentional. Like in one shot, like they're doing a close up on an actor, and maybe he'll be like maybe to the right, slightly to the right side of the frame, and then they cut away to somebody else, and when you come back, like he's turned in a completely different direction. It's like that kind of thing. But again, it's all done for laughs. It's all done with intention, and there are some times too when you can tell that they used like stand-ins when it wasn't like Steve Oedekerk's, like it wasn't his back. It was like another actor, and it's like they sprinkled those things in there randomly just to get, I think, an extra laugh in the scenes. Like that's not even the same actor.
Yeah.
Sometimes they even did it. Sometimes they even changed the actor, like even if they were facing the camera. There was a couple times when I noticed that. I was like, that's a completely different actor in that shot. I guess they wanted to see if anybody would catch that or not. But
and the thing about the Chosen One, here's the thing about the Chosen One, his tongue is what makes him the Chosen One.
Right.
And it's a little creepy.
It is. Like his
like even the master, he's like, The Chosen One will have the mark of the Chosen One. Show us the mark. And he shows his tongue.
Yeah, he sticks his tongue out, and it's like...
And he's like, what the hell is that thing?
Yeah,
put that thing away.
His tongue has its own like eyes and mouth and everything, and it talks.
And the funniest thing too is that the master, he's a little bit creepy too.
Yeah.
Like he's rubbing this guy.
He's a little pervy, yeah. Like
This feels good. This feels good. No, stop. It's like no, stop. It hurts.
Yeah. That scene in particular, I was like, oh, they just wanted to use this for something completely different than,
In the actual movie, if that's in the actual movie, it's probably not intended to be that way.
No.
And then Steve Oedekerk's like, that's just too funny. I'm
right.
using
We're
it.
just going to throw some different dialogue in there and make it seem like he's like coming on to the guy or whatever. Yeah, but it's
his wound didn't close properly. I want you to know that.
Yeah, it was still open basically, and this guy's like, he's like pressing on his chest, like rubbing on it, and he's like no, it still hurts. And he's like, no, it's good. Yeah, but yeah, it is. It's very funny for what it is, and like I said, it's sort of filmed in an older style, but yet there's a lot of contemporary or semi-contemporary references in there. Some of the ones that I picked up on it was The Matrix. There was a very, very obvious reference to The Matrix in there, where they do where he does the back bend thing, but
he's dodging milk.
Yeah, instead of dodging bullets, he's dodging milk from the Kung Fu Cow. There was a Lion King reference in there when he sees the vision of the lion who's
I forget what they named the lion there, but it was similar to Mufasa. It was
because when he appears in the clouds and starts talking to the Chosen One, he even says Simba. So it was like an obvious.
No, I'm the Chosen One.
It's like an obvious Lion King reference, yeah. And they talk. It talks about. He starts to say this, like you think he's going to say the circle of life, but he's like, it's part of the circle of stuff, and then I didn't know if you noticed this or not, but this is definitely more of a dated reference, but for those who are familiar with the Andy Griffith Show, at one point near the beginning of the movie, there's a guy that comes running in to warn the Chosen One about something, but he's clearly, like, the voice that he used for that character is totally out of place. It's not. He doesn't speak with an Asian accent or anything. He sounds like Barney Fife. Like it's totally like a.
I totally missed that.
You know, he's like, oh, there's somebody's coming and it's really bad. You know, it's like he's totally like talking like he's basically he's basically doing like a Don Knotts like impression there, and it's totally out of place and like.
I remembered now. Yeah, I didn't think of it at the time, but yeah, it does totally sound like Barney Fife.
Yeah, and so I caught that little joke in there.
They tease a sequel at the end too, but that's never going to happen.
And that was probably
it was just
intentional
a joke
as well. Yeah, they never intended to make a sequel. And there are some other references in there too, like as far as the music that is used.
Oh yeah.
Rather than being background music, it's actually like used as a part of the scene. Like there's a guy that carries a boombox on his shoulder and will just start playing music like during these fight scenes. So there's MC Hammer.
Yeah, he works with Betty. Yeah, he works with Betty too, the villain.
Black Betty. That's another song that they used.
Betty, and then he's like, at one point the master's dying. And he says, please be mindful of his music when he plays big butts.
Yeah, Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. Yeah. So there's a lot of contemporary like musical references and stuff in there, and they find a way to incorporate that into the scenes in a pretty hilarious way. And then there's a little bit of product placement in there too. I saw Hooters.
It makes fun of it too. It's like, Hooters, and Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
And
place, but Taco Bell.
And then there's the little line that the lion says before he fades out. He says, "This is CNN."
Oh yeah, this is CNN.
So yeah, there's a lot of modern references and jokes and stuff in there. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. It like I said, it's it's an enjoyable movie. If you really like that kind of
If you're in the mood for something where you just don't want to think, then this is the movie for you. Again, just like Tenet, I probably wouldn't watch this movie on acid, but but because it probably feels like you're on acid when you're watching it.
Kind of feels a little bit like a fever dream or something. Like it's like, where did they come up with this stuff?
What in the world? Yeah, it's one of those movies where I love movies like this. As a matter of fact, when I'm writing comedy, none of my comedies, well, I can't say that they're not satires. But there's probably a little bit of satiring here and there when I'm doing a comedy, isn't there?
Yeah, maybe a little bit sprinkled in there.
But it is very funny. I enjoy the hilarity of things where you go, what? Because I find it just completely funny when you catch the people off guard and you're like, and I can tell when I have the perfect line that's just hilarious because I'll end up laughing while I'm writing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you do the same too when you're typing something. It's like
it's like sometimes you just know because you can envision the character saying that out loud, and you're like, oh, this is going to be good. Like this is.
I wish we had gotten to film some of the scenes for Incentive to Kill that I thought were like the best. We never got to film the most funniest scenes, honestly.
Oh no, it which is really a shame because it's such a good movie, and talking about Dylan's writing and how he's just such a unique filmmaker, but there was a little bit of that, because it was an action film, but there was a little bit of that oddball humor. Like, where did that come from? It's like totally stupid. Like the scene that comes to mind for me is when Steve and oh gosh, it's been so long now since I've read the script, but Ivana's character, which is supposed to be Steve's wife, Nora, right? When they're fighting in the kitchen, and she kicks him in the balls, and he says, oh, my ovaries or something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, it's like one of those things where it's like, did he really just say that? Like,
what?
Is he that stupid? Does he really think he has ovaries, or is it just a stupid one-off, kind of joke?
I mean, that scene has a lot of funny lines, honestly. I love the scene where he's like, he just had breakfast and he's eating breakfast and he realized he just got poisoned. He's like, "You poisoned my omelet, you!" And he just turns to the camera and he says, "I'm sorry, Mom, but because I'm sure my mom's going to hear this. Most important meal of the day, my ass."
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of really great jokes in that script, and it's unfortunate that we didn't get to film
maybe
it.
One day,
but maybe one day. It's we're not gonna count that out. It's really just comes down to the money, like most things do in this business, and for something like that, you really want to be able to do it right. You don't want to just. It was the same thing with my film. I didn't want to do it unless I could get the money to do it right. And
you were going to direct and star in it, just like he was. He did in this movie. Steve Oedekerk, he pulled double duty on that, and that is quite the challenge to actually do that too.
Oh yeah, it's when you have to wear so many hats on a film. It's like, on the one hand, you're in control. You
have the creative.
You have creative control, but the bad part of that is that when you're doing all these different jobs,
it can get overwhelming.
Something's probably going to suffer.
Yeah. And it's especially true when you're the skeleton crew, like I've tended to be. And it is noticeable in some of the shorts that I've done where something suffers. Like, okay, so say if I'm focused on the camera work, then the actor, the actor's not getting his, and I feel like I'm more of an actor's director type person. I tend to focus more so on the actor, I think. Do I?
Yeah, I think so. Like, everybody kind of approaches that in a different way. And some directors, I feel like they really get caught up in watching their actors, like, in the moment, whereas others will watch the monitor. They'll watch the camera because they are focused on the final vision, like how does it actually look on the screen, because this is what audiences are going to be seeing.
If I can find the perfect balance with that, because clearly the camera, when I'm focused on the actor, the camera is going to go.
And I think that's when you have to trust your actors for one thing, and you also, but more than that, you have to trust your cinematographer.
Yes.
If you're going to watch the actor and not watch what's going on in the lens, you really have to trust that your cinematographer is carrying out your vision, because you don't want to get in the editing room and then be like, oh gosh, I didn't know it looked like that. Like it's not.
Which I have done before, because we've made the deed like 3 times. Actually, no, 4 times. Because there was that one time that it just fell through and we never finished it. Right. And then there's the 2.0 one, which didn't feel up to par. So I really wanted to do the dialogue version, and I think we finally done it right.
Yeah.
The dialogue version of it. I still like the original. The dialogue version I also like too. They're nice little pieces together.
Different take on it, but. Yeah, I kind of feel like I would be more of the watching the monitor type of director, because you're still watching the performances that way, you know. But for me, because I am such a visual person, visually oriented, and just knowing the way that I like to watch movies, I think I would want to see it within that frame. I would want to see exactly how it's going to look on the screen, because and you can also tell, because sometimes an actor's performance, if you're just watching them and not really watching the camera, it might not translate the same way to film. So you kind of want to know, are their performances coming across the way you want them to on camera? Because maybe the camera is not picking up something that you really wanted to see. And so I don't know. I think it's just a different, a different way to, because the lens is only going to be focused on, on one thing at a time. Whereas if you're just kind of watching the actors live, it might look good to you in the moment, but then you notice that the camera didn't capture that, So, but yeah, I think it's just a difference in styles and what works for different directors. But
I mean, there's different types of directors and there's different types of actors. We've touched base on that in the beginning there about the actors, there being different types of actors as well. Like, for instance, you are the type of actor who needs time to actually get into character. You need a few more takes.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't know if do you like rehearsals?
I think they can be helpful, especially for someone like me, because I'm not really a, sometimes I can be, but I'm typically not a one-take actor, because I find that, especially when you're just starting, like maybe it's your first few shots of the film, you're still really trying to get into this character, and so sometimes it takes me a little bit to warm up to that, or to find things that are really working.
I do know that some actors are not rehearsal people. I mean, you've heard about them. There's people in Hollywood that are like, I don't do rehearsal. Forget that. Yeah. Spur of the moment type of thing. But I wonder what rehearsal is like for a movie like this, for Kung Pow.
Oh gosh, I mean, because there are so many different elements at work there.
There has to be rehearsals with that.
Yeah, because you're working with the green screen, and so your movements have to be timed very specifically in order to match up with those shots.
Because not only is it green screen, but they're also cropping a person into another film.
Yeah. So there's a lot of moving parts with a movie like that. So it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, I think rehearsal can definitely come in handy for someone who does need to warm up a little bit, so that ideally when the camera starts rolling, then you're ready to go. As opposed to you don't want to kind of be finding that stuff in the midst of filming, and then suddenly the director decides like they've got enough coverage on that, and it's like, okay, that's good, let's that's a cut and a print, and then you're sitting there like, well, I could have done that better, like but it's not up to you, it's up to the director, and like so.
And it's funny because as a director, I will often go back. Yes, that's the question I want to ask an actual film director eventually. There, I'm sure that the answer is yes, but going back in, because you would want to go back and do it again, that performance, and then sometimes when I'm going back and looking at a film, I'm like, man, I should have done that shot. I should have done this. I should have asked the actor to do this kind of performance, But I'd say he probably had an easier time, Steve Oedekerk did, with Kung Pow, with figuring that out, because he was only dealing with maybe like one or two actors and himself.
Yeah, probably a little bit easier to do that. But I was going to ask you, what was it in particular that drew you to this movie? Like, was it something that you had seen a long time ago and was just...
I saw it It probably wasn't too far off from when it actually came out, because I saw it back in like early 2000s. I was 2000. I'm thinking it was probably 2003. When was it?
It was 02 was when it came
I did
out,
not see it in theaters, so it was definitely on the TV when I watched it. So it was probably 2003.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was probably 10 years. No, 2003.
Yeah, you would have been like
10.
10, yeah.
So obviously the child in me loved it.
Yeah.
The ridiculousness of it, it was perfect. Because it's a very childish humor.
Oh yeah, it definitely is, and that was one of the things that Cynthia had said, my wife, about the film, because we were watching it last night, and she was like, "This seems like something that a kid would watch," and I was like, "Exactly." I'm like, it's because there is adult humor, like there are mature themes in there, but it's done in a very childish sort of fashion, very like sort of pre-adolescent or adolescent humor.
And definitely when it gets into the adult humor, there it's kind of teen adult humor. Yeah. So it's not even adult; it's teen. So it'd be like. Pre-teen to teens probably would be the ones that actually love this movie.
The target demographic, But again, it is funny. Like I said, if you're just looking for pure escapism and like you really just don't want to have to think about anything, you can just sit there and laugh at something that's completely ridiculous and stupid. Then this is a good movie for that, and so. Definitely check it out when you get a chance. I know that it's streaming on Prime and also is available on DVD, and not sure if it's available on Blu-ray or not. I don't know if it's
I don't think it is.
Probably not, because it's not. It's not.
It's not considered important enough.
Right, but yeah, it's like I said, it's at least worth a watch just for something a little bit different and just goofy and not every movie has to be.
It doesn't have to be
award.
You don't have to be Quentin Tarantino. You don't have to be Steven Spielberg or any of them.
You can definitely enjoy the stupid and childish stuff too, because
that's the beauty of film. I find is that especially in the indie market, I find that some of the directors and stuff like that take things too seriously. Yeah. I've seen some of these indie movies. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, you got to be able to laugh at yourself and laugh at others too, because sometimes it's just funny is just funny, But anyway, we're just about out of time for today. But as always, just want to remind everybody to be sure to subscribe, like, and share to our YouTube channel.
Please.
Yes, we need need all the subscribers we can get.
Mm-hmm. Anything helps. Please do tell us what we can improve on, what you'd like to see.
Yeah, we would definitely love to hear from you all. You can leave your comments for us. Down below in the comments on each episode, and you can also comment on our socials, or you can email us on our official podcast email, kimmellandcox@gmail.com. But we definitely want to hear your feedback because that just helps us to determine where to go from here, and maybe to get an idea of what you all would like to hear us talk about on the podcast. And we've got no shortage of topics that we can talk about for sure. But
clearly we will go the mile and actually talk about things that are not popular.
Yes, that's true. Where it's not going to be, they're not even necessarily all going to be things that we like or enjoy or whatever. But you kind of take the good with the bad there. But when you subscribe on YouTube, be sure that you tap that little bell icon so that you receive the notifications whenever new content or episodes are posted. Again, go and follow us on our socials. We're pretty much on all of the major social media platforms, and we will have those links available for you on the bottom of your screen, as well as down below in the video's description and in the closing credits of every episode. So there's no way you can miss them.
I think it should be said that with the Patreon page, we would, if we had any Patreons, any people that would support us through that, we would add your names in the end credits too.
Yes, that is one of the benefits that we offer on there, and it's not very much. You don't really have to contribute a lot to get that perk.
And if you do support us even further, we will even mention you.
Yes, you'll get a verbal shout out. Before we close the episode for that week, and so.
Just thought I'd mention a few perks there.
Yeah,
so
just throwing that out there,
in case you haven't seen.
and that does, that kind of thing does, mean a lot to people, being able to get credit for that, and we want to give you credit for that. If you're going to contribute towards the podcast, and we want to make sure that you're recognized for that. And speaking of that Patreon page, be sure to go and check that out and see some of the other benefits that we're offering there. And we think we've got some pretty cool stuff there for now, and hopefully in the future we can offer you even more. But that's really going to depend on you all. We need your support, and the more that we have, the more that we can offer you, and so that's our hope, is that we'll just continue getting bigger and better from here, so that we can deliver you the best possible podcast every single week. Next week we are going to be doing our next celebrity profile. Wow. Our episode on Dan Aykroyd proved to be very popular. It actually, so far, has been our most popular episode, so we thank you for that. But we want to continue doing more of those celebrity profiles, because obviously you guys really like that. And I think next week's is going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about the talented Charlize Theron. And so we're looking
one of my
forward.
favorite actresses, honestly. She's really good.
Yeah, and she's kind of multifaceted. She's a bit of a
she'll play
she's someone that's a bit of a chameleon in that way, that she can play a lot of different types of roles. And
same with Sigourney Weaver, I'd say.
Yeah. And very convincing, and whether it's drama, comedy, action. Yeah. So she can pretty much do it all. So we're looking forward to that, and we certainly hope that you'll join us next week. But until then, be good to yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
You dipstick.